So today I'm going to revisit the 2020 presidential election, and I'm going to show what I believe to be circumstantial evidence that reaffirms my contention that Donald Trump may have rigged the election with Barack Obama. Now, I based my theory, I guess, on allegations that came from Maria Zack back in 2020 that she had received affidavits from Italy that Barack Obama had rigged the election against Trump. She said that according to the affidavits, a company called Leonardo SPA, which was a defense contractor, rigged the election by way of satellite. She said that the effort was funded by way of money redirected from Obama's nuclear deal through the Vatican, and then ultimately it was deposited in a Swiss bank account for Merrill Lynch. She said that she had received affidavits which are not refuted become truth in commerce. That is not to say that those affidavits prove that the election was rigged, but they certainly provide a legal basis to make that claim potentially. She had also said that the plan was hatched between Barack Obama and Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. And so Matteo Renzi and Obama were concerned that Trump's popularity was causing globalism to be derailed and that the government was in jeopardy. So they had decided that Donald Trump could only serve one term, because if he served two terms, the damage would be to globalism could be irreparable. Now, Donald Trump, for his part, did not want to serve a second term because he understood that the economy would perform poorly during that time. And he thought that if he were president, or if he presided over the country during a time in which the economy was performing poorly, that his brand would be tarnished. And he considers his brand to be his most important asset. And he did not want his brand to be associated with a poorly performing economy. And I heard this claim made by individuals who are close to Trump and close to Mike Lindell. And Mike Lindell is the CEO of MyPillow, who had promoted false election claims. So remember, he held those symposiums in which he was to have brought forth allegations of somehow alleged election fraud that never were proven. He talked about a lot of election fraud, but never actually provided any proof. Now, this was a video that was posted this morning, from Adam Green of No More News, that appears to depict police officers standing passively by while the insurrectionists and the activists and agitators walked completely unhindered into the congressional buildings. Here you see what appears to be a police officer leading the insurrectionists into the building. So it appears that this agitator was cuffed in front of either cameras or witnesses, and then once he was brought towards the exit, the cuffs were taken off him, and then he walks out the door a free man. Okay, so the police in question were employed by the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia during this period hired two firms to manage its federal concerns. And during 2020, federal concerns was the presidential election. So among the lobbying firms which represented the District of Columbia in 2020 were the Group DC, which is peopled by Obama campaign workers. The other was Ballard Partners. And here you see that Ballard Partners received $0, or what is reported to be less than $5,000, for the simple reason that Ballard served in a capacity of being a consultant. So Ballard Partners was advising the District of Columbia. District of Columbia employed the police, who then ushered the activists into the building to create the diversion that deflected attention from the company. Leonardo SPA provided cover for Trump while scapegoating the activists. So Donald Trump essentially, it would appear, threw his own supporters under a bus. He brought them to Capitol Hill. Agitation occurred that appears to have been planned, and those who participated were left with some with criminal records, some were jailed. They lost a lot, personally, financially, and in other ways. Here you see that in 2020, Ballard Partners represented the District of Columbia. Okay, so the Group DC. The Group DC, obviously here again confirming they represented the District of Columbia alongside Facebook, JP Morgan, and Lockheed Martin. Now, the District of Columbia was obviously a key client. Facebook, if you recall, worked with Cambridge Analytica to help secure the election for Donald Trump in 2016. They also worked with Eric Schmidt, who was an advisor to Jared Kushner, to secure the election for Obama previously. In 2020, Ballard represented Leonardo SPA. Leonardo SPA was the company that, according to Maria Zack, allegedly rigged the election against Donald Trump. You can see that in 2020, Ballard Partners represented the District of Columbia, and this is the one and only time Ballard ever represented the District of Columbia. And even then, it was done in an advisory capacity. Among the lobbyists which represented the District of Columbia during this period were Brian Ballard and Sylvester Lucas. Lobbyists for Ballard Partners, including Brian Ballard and Sylvester Lucas, represented Leonardo SPA, the company that was allegedly involved in the election rigging. So given that they had been caught, don't you think they would have had a vested interest in deflecting attention from themselves and protecting themselves from liability, engaging in a PR offensive to deflect attention elsewhere? And they deflected attention onto the activists, who then ended up taking the fall, apparently, for Donald Trump. You can see that the Ballard Partners was a leading Trump supporter. They were one of the leading fundraisers for Donald Trump. They served on his transition team, in which they placed key officials into the Trump administration. They then turned around and lobbied those officials on behalf of clients, some of which were foreign interests. And then they partnered with a number of Trump allies for business opportunities all around the globe. We see here that among the partners of Ballard Partners is a lady by the name of Courtney Whitney. According to Courtney's biography, she was a consultant for Priorities USA, a super PAC supporting President-elect Joe Biden, and she worked for Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign as Clinton's deputy finance director for Florida. While Priorities USA was headed by Jim Messina, Jim Messina worked with Barack Obama and Eric Schmidt to help Barack Obama win his own elections. Eric Schmidt was an advisor to Jared Kushner. And among Jim Messina's clients was Matteo Renzi, who, according to Maria Zack, collaborated with Obama to rig the election against Trump. Trump never called out Leonardo. He never called out Ballard Partners, his leading fundraiser. Instead, he has deflected attention from himself. So the circumstantial evidence would lead me to believe that Trump was in fact agreeable and knowledgeable to whatever happened in 2020. He went along with it, he fundraised off of it, and I think he scapegoated his supporters. But after I saw what Donald Trump did on January 6th and with this 2020 election, I had withdrawn all support from him. And I would hope that other Trump supporters will wake up, because Trump is not the answer, in my opinion. He has inflicted tremendous damage on the United States. He has betrayed his base. And I really don't know why anybody would want to support him when Trump clearly doesn't support any of you. I think that we, the people, deserve a lot better. But Donald Trump was the one who organized January 6th. I hope I will wake at least a few people up. I think there are a lot of election deniers out there. So I think what I am seeing is correct. I think that you should be very skeptical of what you hear from both the left and the right, because there are a lot of, shall we say, shenanigans going on. And I think that in our democracy, I know we have a republic, but in a democracy, we have to be civically engaged. We have to be knowledgeable about what's transpiring around us, and also to call out corruption when we see it. If the people voted for Donald Trump and we didn't get Donald Trump, then that's a problem. But if Donald Trump didn't genuinely want to serve, he should have stood down and not taken money from people. I mean, there are a lot of things that he could have done without sacrificing his own integrity and his own base. Republicans are actually very much engaged and they're profiteering through a lot of the technological developments. And we're told, oh, it's the Democrats. But it's actually both sides. It was a collaboration between the Clintons and the conservative right. They both support corporate interests. At the highest levels, corporate interests are globalists, and they are pursuing profits at the expense of nations, because they want to establish ultimately a monopoly over power and over commerce. And so you see a lot of people stumbling over themselves to get in with that kind of agenda so that they can become very wealthy in the process, but at the expense of freedom, democracy, your own economic and financial viability, because a lot of jobs are being lost through AI and through outsourcing and so forth. Tremendous damage is being inflicted upon the American people. All the money that is being given away, that is going to these private interests, is resulting in higher inflation. It's resulting in higher insurance payments, like for housing. I'm kind of shocked when I hear about and read about homeowners insurance in Florida and increasing property taxes and the cost of living. I mean, it's really getting outrageous. So the middle class, the ordinary Americans, are being exploited tremendously and are suffering as a direct consequence to what these unaccountable elites are doing to the wider population. And I think Donald Trump has so far been unaccountable with regards to what he has done. And I think the Democrats have to pursue him very, very gingerly because they're not innocent in this matter either. Hopefully, this has given you something to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like the video, I hope you'll click the like button. If you're interested in subscribing, please subscribe as well. I'd like to get the algorithms up and to spread my information to more people. Information is power, and I'm doing my best to empower my audience, small as it is, with the hope that it might somehow make a difference. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you all again soon.